Welcome to, what are we calling this? Intro to the Brother River video. This is my friend Rachel. She is a new machine knitter and we just found her a Brother 910 and a river to go with it. We just filmed the video about the intro to the Brother 910, so if you want to check that out, there's a link in the description. And now we're going to teach her how to use the river. So Rachel's 910 is missing brackets on the bottom, so we're going to use mine for this demonstration, and she should be able to find some on eBay or Etsy and fix hers up and then use the river with it. But this is your river.
Excellent.
Do you know what a river is?
I'm familiar with ribs from doing normal hand knitting. Otherwise, baby back is my most common familiarity with ribs.
Right. You think this is short ribs or beef ribs?
It's a long rack.
So it's called a river because it's most often used for making ribbing. A knitting machine can only knit in one direction. Like, you only get knit stitches.
Okay.
You cannot make purl stitches. I mean, you can reform stitches into purl stitches. That's where the river comes in. Okay, so this box is really heavy. Can you help me turn it around? We gotta turn it this way. Alright, and then we're gonna set it down on top of the knitting machine on the stand. So the knitting machine on the stand is not clamped down yet because of reasons that I will go over soon. Okay, so here is your river. It comes with instructions on how to put it back in the box when you're done, which will be helpful. And then the manual for you to look at. And then all of these parts and pieces. And let's go over what these are. So we have a bunch of these weights, which hang from things that I'll tell you about later. But these are about 1 pound, I think, and then these ones are about ½ a pound. You need a lot more weight on the river than you do on the main bed. Yes. So these are the clips that hold the river to your main machine.
Oh, okay.
And they're labeled left and right, and they are very hard to find. Do not lose them. This is the plating feeder. It's so you can use 2 yarns on ribbing, same way you use 2 yarns on the main bed. This is a racking cane. The bottom bed moves back and forth a couple stitches.
Okay.
So you can make interesting patterns. I did this in my Bill Gates sweater, if you want to take a look at that video.
Okay.
And then instead of the sinker plate, we have this connecting arm that connects the carriage on the top bed and the carriage on the bottom bed together. Okay. This is a tool to help you install it in the thingy. And then we got some spare needles.
And those you can find on Etsy or wherever.
Yep, on Etsy. And then we have the carriage for the river, which is slightly different than the main carriage. It doesn't do as much. You can't do any patterning with this. You have to do everything manually if you want to manipulate stitches.
Okay.
And then these are the clamps for... These clamps go on the main machine, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. And then if you pull these styrofoam bits out, go squeak. This is the river. And then these down here are the cast-on clamps.
Oh, heavy duty.
Yes, and they have these wires that go through them. And I will show you how to use that. These will like stick on and stay there. And then down here, a piece that I don't have, called the fine knit bar. This goes on the main bed if you're knitting with very, very fine yarns, and the manual will tell you how to deal with that. Pull the river out. Can you? There you go. Oh, this even comes with the covers. So these things often get lost, but so when you're working with a knitting machine on a regular basis, you might just leave it set up and have the river just pulled down and not in the way, and this keeps your work from getting stuck on the needles there. Oh. We're gonna pull it off for now. You can wiggle them and get them out of that bottom channel.
Maybe.
And there we have a river. All right, now we need to get. There's never quite enough room. Set this down here for now, and then these are the attachment clamps for the main bed, and they look very different than the other clamps that we've used, and we will need the other clamps as well. Let me grab them real quick. Here, hold on to these. Yeah. So these are the clamps that you would normally use to attach the main bed to whatever it's on, like a table or a stand. Okay. But those are the clips we use for the river because it needs to be up at an angle. So this is at a little bit of an angle of the bed so that the work stays where it is, but with the river, you want it at more of an angle.
Okay, so the machine and the river are an angle to each other?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
So I'm just gonna pull this up. And I usually do this like on the floor or on a chair. And it's hard to get these going in the right direction, but there we go. So they want to go onto the bed, into the table or the thing like this.
Okay, so
They're going in that way. Can you put that one in? Undo the screw thingy.
that's probably enough to get rid of that thing.
All right, and then I usually pick it up and look through underneath and set it down. There, and then it's on.
Okay, and tighten it up.
Yep. Can you grab my screwdriver? Usually to use something with a little bit of leverage. Because tightening with my hand is really hard.
How tight should it be?
Not like tight, that's probably good.
Okay, I mean, I think that's pretty solid.
Okay, so we have the machine at an angle now. Now we get the clippy thing. Where are the clippy things? And they're labeled right and left, so that one goes on that side.
Okay.
Goes on this side. The long, thin part goes towards the back.
And this goes in here?
It goes down here.
Okay.
Like a little hole to put it in, and then the threads go up top, and you want to push it back until the top part is at that edge there. There you go.
Do you need that screwdriver again?
It should be the tool.
It's on the...
Nope, not that.
Okay.
Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Haha, it's this tool.
I really want to use this tool.
I will show you. I will show you. It's actually really cool.
Doesn't have to be like...
No, not super in there.
Okay.
And then here comes the rubber. And you see these guys here fit into the clips.
Oh. Oh.
And these slide back and forth a little bit, but not a whole lot. Didn't line it up correctly. Come on. And just try to get it in there as far as it'll go. Maybe not going in.
Your side isn't in quite as far.
Yeah, it's not. What are you doing? I'm gonna try loosening that a little bit. Where are the tools? Here we go. Oh, you're not supposed to loosen them until it's in. I forgot about that. You're not supposed to tighten them until it's in. So, these are still a little loose. There we go.
Ah, that goes in a lot farther.
Okay. Ta-da! The ribber's attached. Not quite. So, if we look under here, okay, so there's like this little foot that comes down and sits on the bed. See that here?
Yeah.
There should be one on the other side too. Can you find it?
Yeah.
Okay. And then those get clamped down with these guys.
The regular clamps.
Yep. All right, you ready for the racking
Did
cage?
you want to tighten that one?
No, it should be good. So over here we have this slidey lever.
Okay.
With the P and the H. H is for half pitch and P is for pitch. And then right under here we have the place for the racking handle.
Okay.
Goes in there and just stays. And let me show you what it does. That's not in all the way. There we go, now it's in all the way.
That's not as exciting as I had hoped, but
What? It's
still...
so exciting! And there's an indicator here of where it is, and you want to keep it on 5 for normal knitting.
Okay.
And then this lever moves it over half a needle. So you can do things like full needle rib, which is like regular ribbing but tighter.
Okay.
We just need the carriage. And that just kind of pops on here. And stick it in the groove. Come on. Well, mine just pops on there. What are you doing? Okay, we can start from the side. What are you doing? Why aren't you happy with this? Oh, because the needles are up a little bit, that's why it's not happy. There we go.
Okay, so that wasn't going in because
The needles were in the wrong place.
Okay.
And it was not happy with where they were. Come on.
So does this guy have a sponge bar also?
It has this plastic thing, which doesn't have a sponge on it, but it's kind of functions the same way.
Okay.
It's called a retaining bar.
But if I need to replace one of these?
You pull out the retaining bar and then pull the needle out.
Okay.
And then the way that these work together is with, ow, this guy.
Okay, so we tighten it up.
And you gotta loosen it first, it's not all the way in. There we go, now they can tighten up.
Okay.
And then this moves up and down. Yours is a little stuck. It probably needs some grease. But it moves up and down and then they connect together like that. Somebody's unhappy. We don't know who, so let's just pull you off. Actually, I don't know if this is seated in there correctly. There it is. Was it you that was unhappy? You were unhappy. Okay, the main carriage is stuck, so what we do is we go to CR, we pull it up, we try to figure out what happened. Oh, it looks like the butt of that needle got pushed down. Sometimes that happens, and you have to bring them all the way forward and it'll pop back in. Except that one didn't. Why didn't it?
This one looks, is it supposed to be that low?
No, it's not. So let's push the rest of it. Usually if you pull it all the way out, it'll pop back into the right place. This one's not. This one's not. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, it got caught on a mechanism under there.
Okay.
Let's try it again. That really needs to be greased.
Can I feel it?
Yeah. It should just go up and down really easily.
Oh. Okay.
And maybe it might have lost the spring in there. The joys of old knitting machines. We can work with it.
And now...
No, it doesn't want to go down. Okay, there we go. So normally you put them together and this would spring up and then it would spring down nicely. And then you could knit. That's it.
All right.
We get a bunch of buttons and knobs on the front here. So tension dial works the same way as the tension dial on the one on the top.
So this one only goes till 8.
It does only go to 8. I don't know why it doesn't go to 10.
Do you need them to match?
It depends on what you're doing. If you're doing plain old ribbing, you probably want them to match.
Okay.
If you're doing other kinds of stitches where like one bed is tucking, one bed is not, then you need to swatch and figure out what makes the most sense. But generally, rule of thumb, whatever tension you use for plain stockinette on the main bed, you need half of that if you're doing 1x1 ribbing.
Okay.
So main stitch dial, tension dial thing. These guys on the edge are only used in patterning. This, I call it the lily button. It's not actually an L&I, it's something else. I don't know what it's supposed to be, and it won't push in. Okay, this carriage definitely needs to be oiled. See, like it'll twist like that. And when it does that, here, let me pull this back. Okay, so if you select a few needles, it will only knit every other needle. It won't knit all of them. So when the lily button is on, every other needle. And that's used to do the back of 2 3/4 jacquard.
Oh,
so you'll need that with the patterning stuff. And then this N is for normal. PR is for, I don't know. One of them is tuck and one of them is slip. And this determines whether it's tuck or slip. And wow, that is stuck there. Okay, this carriage desperately needs to be oiled because that lever is stuck. But you should be able to take it apart and do it. We want normal knitting. And then these guys are for knitting back from hold or not. If they're up.
And are these going in one direction and that's going in the other direction?
Yeah. Okay, something is up with the retaining bar. See, it's like falling down in there. You can see.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's not coming out the hole.
All right, so let's pull it out and see if we can get it through the hole. That's the end. The end looks like it's supposed to look.
It's going. It's just
Is there something on that side? Oh, there it goes. There it goes.
It needs to go in. If there's a little, I just need to like lift it. Here, you're giving me like a spare needle.
That'll work.
Pull back a little bit. Okay, now do it. There you go.
Ah, okay. So back where we were. If these are up and hold and this lever is flipped up, it sticks. It's not supposed to do that. It needs to be oiled. Those needles will knit. But if it's down and these are all up and hold, they won't knit. They just stay there. Okay. So that's about it. Except for this lever on the bottom. I don't actually use it. I can't remember what settings it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be for a nicer selvage edge when you're casting on. But you can absolutely work without it. Oh my god. Needs to be oiled.
Should we just oil it?
No.
Okay.
We're good. Let's pull a tension mast up and get some yarn threaded through so we can get you cast on for 1x1 knitting. Okay, my tension mast is here. Do I have that one just sitting around? No, I don't. I put everything away! I cleaned because you were gonna come.
Aw, thank you.
You're welcome. I didn't want you to judge me.
I wouldn't have judged you.
Oh, it was really messy. You haven't seen the cleaning video yet.
Oh, you haven't seen my sewing room.
I've seen it on video conference.
Yeah, but I keep the really messy part hidden.
Yeah, I do that too. Like, everything behind the camera was a massive mess. Oh my god, come on. There we go. I told you in my notes that this might descend into madness, and that's entirely because of me. The later it gets in the day, the less of a filter I have.
Well, as one of my favorite cats said, we're all mad here.
Okay, you feed it into the yarn thingy the same way that you would for plain old knitting. And I usually cast onto waste yarn because it makes a nicer selvage edge, but we're not going to do that here because we are learning. Where's my 1x1 tool? Okay, so we're going to cast on for 1x1 ribbing, which is what the ribber is most often used for. You wring out every other needle and make sure that you're at P1 and at 5 over here on the rack and cane.
Okay.
And then bring out every other needle on the bottom bed as well. But you don't want the same needles, because like these will run into each other and cause problems. Oh. You want the other needles. And then I just run the carriage over it. So that just working correctly. Run the carriage over it to get the needles in the right place. And why are you unhappy? Okay. What is going on here? Alright, we're just gonna be careful with it.
I think it might just be, it's still waking up.
Sure, it's been in our box for like 20 years.
Yeah, you gotta cut it some slack.
Okay, so we have every other needle out, and then the way that we cast on is this is going in position 1. We go to 0 on both carriages.
Okay.
Because we went with the tightest possible cast on, and then we feed the yarn through the beds. And then I'm just going to tie a slip knot and hook it onto the end of the clamp down here so we don't have to worry about it going anywhere. What the hell? There we go. Okay. Now, you got to be careful not to get it caught on the gate pegs here because it's really easy to do. But then you're just going to feed it between the thingies on the carriage. And it's caught on the gate peg.
Okay, so you just went around the little...
Yeah, there's no, like, door here. It
Okay.
just... Why are you unhappy? We go in and around the thingies.
Okay.
It's just like that. And then we make one pass. And see it gets caught on all the needles.
Oh.
And this is where the fancy cast on comb comes in. And this one is pristine. I don't know if this has ever been used. You pull the wire out. And be careful not to lose this because they're hard to replace. And then you put the cast on comb up through the beds, trying to center it. And I've got my hand on the center hole right here.
Okay.
It comes up through this cast on edge, and then I put the wire back in. and that's how it holds the edge down. And you can hang weights on this. Well, I'm not going to right now because the cast on comb is pretty heavy, so it should be enough to get us started.
Got it. Okay.
And then we set up for circular knitting. So this goes up.
Okay, so the PR is circular knitting.
PR is for part, so it's not going to knit in this direction. So it's not going to knit any of these needles in this direction. But it's going to, but the top carriage will knit, and I don't want the top carriage to knit in the other direction, so I'm going to push the other part down.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to knit on the top in this direction and on the bottom in this direction.
Okay.
And then we turn the tension up to 1, the first edge, and there's instructions how to do this in your manual. And then you do, so you only knit on the top bed.
Okay.
This needle does not knit. Here we go. It only knits in the bottom bed. And then we cancel all of this. And then we start knitting. And that's 1 by 1 ribbing.
Okay, so you do what would effectively be circular knitting for the first 2, and then you just go into regular.
And some manuals will tell you to do 3 rows of circular knitting. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Make sure it knits. You wanna try?
Yeah.
Oh, it's stuck on something.
Oh.
Yeah, you can grease is part of it. Okay. Something is going wrong because the let's figure out what. Maybe it just needs some weight. Let's try that. So these are about 1 pound, maybe 2, and you just hang them in the holes in the cast on comb.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All right. Stop for a second. This guy's not knitting. Let's add some more weight. There's a lot more trial and error to the weight on the ribber than there is in the main bed, but this will help pull it down. Hold on. You pushed up needles with your thumb.
Oops, sorry.
All right. That looks better.
It still needs to kind of come down, right?
That one didn't knit. You can always pull it down too. That's an option.
Is that one supposed to be knitting?
Shit. We didn't turn the tension back up. This should be at least tension 2. Let's call it 3.
Okay.
All right, keep going. Hold on. There's a needle up here that shouldn't be. Okay, keep going. It's looking pretty good. Probably go a little faster.
Mostly bracing because I'm on a rolling chair.
Alright, so we can't see what's going
I
on.
noticed that.
And like you can feel up under there and you can feel that it's starting to pull in.
Can you kind of look?
You can kind of look if you want.
Oh, I can feel.
Yeah, you should do a little feel. I'm gonna grab some claw weights. So when you're adding weight to this, it's hard to tell where it's going. And there's a lip on the ribber, if you feel up there.
Okay.
You don't want to accidentally get the claw weight caught on the lip because then it's not doing its job anymore.
Okay.
So you want the claw weights facing this way and not facing this way.
Okay.
So I'm gonna reach up and do this one by feel. I can just feel when it's close to the top and add it. See if you can do that.
How did I do?
That's pretty good.
Okay.
All right, keep knitting. One more tool to find.
I just keep knitting until then. How come sometimes the little latchy part, sometimes it'll be up, sometimes it's down?
Oh, the needles, so the bottom of the carriage has magnets on it, and they should pull the latch is open. It's only an issue if it's stuck. Yeah, that's good enough. Alright, let's say that our swatch is good enough. You're missing a tool in that box that probably just wound up in the other box of tools with your 910.
Okay.
Called the double-eyed tool.
Ooh. Okay.
It is like a one transfer tool, but it's got an eye on both sides.
Okay.
And I'm gonna show you a basic cast off for this that's very similar to what we did on the just the main bed, where you transfer all of the stitches. This has got too much weight on it.
I probably should have moved those claw clips up at some point.
It's fine.
I was just having such a good time.
But we are going to transfer all the stitches to the main bed.
Okay.
And to do that, you need a double-eyed tool. And what you do is you put it over the hook, pull up, and push back down, and then you go over to the top hook.
Ooh. Okay. Doesn't matter which side you start from?
Yep. Whatever's most comfortable for you.
Okay. So, I up, down, here, catch it. That?
Yep.
Oh no, not like that.
Is it on the hook?
No. So I want to make sure that it's actually on the hook there.
Yes.
Okay. So, up, down, over, and that's on the hook enough, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then do I want to push these back or just...
Yeah, they'll stay on better to push back. And this is how I would bind off for a swatch, but if I were making something that needed a nice edge, you take it off on circular waste yarn, so only knitting in one direction, and then kind of fold the waste yarn open and do essentially a Kitchener stitch to finish off the edge.
Oh, okay.
And this is the KR850. I believe I have the 850i, and as far as we can tell in the community, the only difference is the color of the branding.
Okay. Okay.
Ta-da! Alright, now that tool goes in the bucket. And now we need to drop the ribber down.
Drop the ribber down.
Yes.
All right.
So there are these levers on the side. See that? Pull down on the lever.
This thing? That says right?
The metal, yeah.
Okay. Pull it down. Okay.
And hold on. Got two down. There we go. Get this side. And there we go. And now we can get to all of this.
Okay.
And then I would do a regular old gate peg bind off for that.
Okay, and that is the gate peg where it comes on the
inside.
inside of it. Okay, so
Pull your yarn out of the thingy. You want to go behind the gate peg, not in front of it. There you go. You can do some more learning on this one, or I could help you out. What would you rather do?
Let me do like 3 more.
Okay.
And
Sounds
then,
good.
So this is on, oh no, it's every single one. No, I do it on this one next, the one I just did.
Yeah, you want to knit one? Did you knit?
I did.
Okay, just transfer.
And I go behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think I knit it very tight. Okay.
You will learn as you go.
And then I put it in. Okay, let me do one more.
You got a really strong grip on this one.
I know. I'm not used to the grip. The grip I'm not used to yet.
You'll get used to it.
All right, I'll let you keep going. I got a refresher in my brain about it.
And I'm gonna do the things that I told you not to do and hold it differently. Oh, come on.
Yeah, you're much lighter with it than I am. I'm gripping it like it's going to fly out of my hand at any
And
moment.
I'm using both hands. I will use my other hand to steady it as I put it on the hook. The latch isn't open. There we go. I'm just gonna go ahead and open the rest of the latches so it doesn't slow me down. I have one of those little letter opener credit card shaped things that I use to open these sometimes.
You can just shh.
Yep. And as you can see, I keep no consistent grip on this thing. It's just kind of in my hand. And I also split stitches.
It's reassuring.
You have learned a lot in a very short period of time. And I would not be surprised if you retain half of it. But there are a lot of resources online, and all of these techniques are in your manuals. So, unlike most modern consumer goods, the manuals are actually really helpful on these things.
Cool.
And there's stuff on YouTube, and I'm going to send you to the Knitting Machine Discord, where you can ask for help. Although it has gotten pretty big and has no moderation right now. It really needs some.
It's the Wild West out there.
It is the Wild West out there. I wonder how much I have influenced that. I wonder if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
You're logging as Cowgirl Carson.
Seal Holgat. No, actually, I think I might be Knit Factory Imple there. I don't know. Okay. You can set different aliases for different servers. Come on. There we go. Good enough. Oh, I wanted to ask you, do you want me to plug your Instagram?
You can plug my Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, I will probably be on the Discord as Pigs in Pajamas.
People may know who you are from this video. It's a very small community.
Cool. I'm looking forward to making friends. So when are we doing the knitting racing video?
What kind of race are you talking about?
Okay, so we get the same yarn. We both bring our machines.
Ooh.
And
we make something?
We race to see who can finish, I don't know, a hat or a sweater or something.
Pre-swatched, please. Pre-math.
Yes, you're allowed to swatch ahead of time, so you know what, and you can have your size. Although I think we should aim for something that's the same size. So maybe a poncho or something. Because you're taller than I am, so
that's true.
It wouldn't be fair.
But I have more experience than you do.
It's true. We can add in handicaps if we want.
Okay, let's finish this and then we'll have a conversation because there's other stuff that I'd like to do. Okay, so now we're bound off and now we need to get the cast on comb off.
Okay.
So, can you pull the wire out for me?
Okay.
Ooh. And then put the wire back in so you don't lose it.
That's very satisfying.
And you've got a small one and then one that is the whole span of the bed.
Okay.
And then this comes off the gate pegs. Oh, and it's still connected to the thingy down there. And there's your first ribbing swatch.
Oh, look at that!
Here, hold it over the bed so everybody can see it.
So everybody else can see how awesome this is.
The 1x1 ribbing. And it had some issues with the cast on. Like,
you know.
That didn't knit for a couple stitches. Oh, it dropped a stitch. So part of the reason we do waist yarn is because if there are going to be problems, they're going to happen in the first few rows.
Okay.
So if that happened with waist yarn, you just like drop it off the bed and start over. But if like this was something you were knitting, you'd probably want to like secure that and then work it in.
Okay, so question. So the edges here are very lettucey.
Gnarly, yes.
Yeah. Is that something that you fix with waist yarn? Is that something that...
So on the bottom edge, you fix that with waist yarn. So this was stayed spread out on the machine for a long while. If you have waist yarn, the waist yarn lets it pull in immediately and it doesn't put as much strain on it.
Okay.
And generally the way I do waist yarn is I cast on, I do a couple rows of 1x1 ribbing, and then I do a few rows of just circular knitting. Because it's easier to pull the waist yarn off after that. And then that gets rid of some of the lettucey, and you can also try turning the tension down for the second row, and that might help a bit too. For the top, this is just a swatch, so like that's just how it's going to look. But if you want a really nice finished edge, you need to do sewn bind off.
Okay, got it. So hypothetically, let's say that I wanted to put ribbed cuffs on a sweater. Would you knit this separately and then attach it to the...
So generally on a knitting machine you knit bottom up, so you'd start with the rib cuffs.
Okay.
And then you transfer all your needles to the main bed and keep knitting up with stockinette.
Oh, okay. And then it just becomes normal knitting.
Yep.
After that. Interesting. So if you did multiple colors on that, is it kind of like doing brioche? If you've got...
What do you mean by multiple colors?
Like, you had mentioned you could do color on one side, color on the other side.
With the plaiting feeder, which is in your box.
I'm not saying we have to jump into that now.
But let me just show you how this would work. So this has two places to put yarn, the main feeder and then this bottom feeder that you can get into through the side there. And you would see where these nubbies are. You'd pull this like cross-sectional part out and then put this in there. I think it goes this way. It goes that way. No, it's got to go that way because that's where the holders are. And your manual will tell you how to do this. And then you just feed multiple colors in and it knit like normal. You can do a version of brioche on the ribber, but it involves flipping a lot of these guys. I don't remember how to do it.
Got it. Okay. And then, so is this the, no, that's not what decides how many, so the rib would be decided by how many needles you have. If you have two.
Yes.
Okay.
And the cast on for like a 2x2 ribbing is very different than the cast on for a 1x1 ribbing.
Oh, okay.
It's actually really interesting. You move the whole thing to half pitch, and then you cast on for half pitch, which is all the needles on the top and all the needles on the bottom. Because all right, do the thing. Okay, so when you're in normal mode and you bring up two needles, they would run into each other. But when you're in half pitch, they don't run into each other because they're between needles. So you would cast on as if this were 1x1 ribbing, and then you would go back to normal pitch and then transfer all of your stitches back and forth until you have the arrangement that you want, and then keep knitting.
Okay, so I would transfer like these two to those two, and then these two to these two.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, and that's the same for 3x3, 4x4.
Yep, any arrangement.
And so if you wanted to do circular knitting, it would just be like you would keep doing the same thing we did at the beginning.
Yep. If you want to make like a sock, I have many videos on socks.
I've watched many videos on socks.
It's like 5 videos on socks.
I mean, the one that's flat knit actually makes the most sense to me, but
the one that's knit in the round, like you just need to cast on and then start a circular knitting and then put your main yarn on and then do the folded hem in the round, which is a little more difficult. So the levers on the side move the bed up and down, but they also move the bed down just a little bit. So if you push down on the lever, it brings it down a whole step. If you press up on the lever, it brings down half a step. And that's for if you're doing a folded hem on a sock, or if you have a really thick yarn on the bed.
Oh dear.
It's fine. And like sometimes the little bits and bobs in the back of that like springs come off, but it's fixable.
Okay, so this, so you told me to put it at 5, but what does shifting it left to right do?
Let me go find the sweater. I'll be right back. I know exactly what it is. Be right back.
This is so exciting.
This is the kind of thing you can do with a racking chain. This is the Bill Gates sweater. I have a video on how to do this.
Oh, that's such a neat stitch.
So this is just so it starts as 1x1 ribbing, and then we tuck on one bed in one direction to get this texture. And then as it comes up here, I believe it's 2 passes, and then you move over a stitch, and then it's 2 passes, and you move back.
So wait, so on this one that you have the gap here, was it 1x1?
This is just 1x1 ribbing.
But why is it so much wider than mine? Is it just the tension?
Because this has been blocked.
So this would be blocked similarly to that.
It could be. So this has been washed and worn many, many times.
Okay.
So the yarn has really relaxed significantly. It's actually the same kind of yarn as that swatch.
So is this also 1x1?
It's if you set it for 1x1 ribbing and then tuck on one bed in one direction.
I don't know what
it makes this texture.
That means.
Tuck. Lever needs to go up.
Yeah.
So it'll pick up more stitches, but not knit.
Okay.
And then it'll knit the next time.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
it creates this. It's called a half cardigan. Do you know fisherman's rope?
That I'm familiar with.
That you would tuck on one bed in one direction, on the other bed in the other direction.
Okay.
And it goes a lot faster on the machine than by hand. But you can do all kinds of fun texture stuff.
Cool.
Other questions?
Not right now. I'm sure the first time I decide to knit a sleeve, I'm gonna have questions.
I bet you will. The rubber's a little advanced.
Okay, actually, I do have a question about oiling this.
Mm-hmm.
And is that just take my knitting machine oil and... Okay, so if I want to pop this off.
Just pull it forward. There you go.
And I'm just basically getting in there in all the little...
So what I would do if I were like doing some real maintenance on this is I would take my little tool and see which of these levers are moving freely and which aren't. Like that should be moving a little more freely, and you can see there's some gunk in there.
Okay.
Like wipe as much of it off as you can with a paper towel, and then put a little oil around the edges and like work it back and forth until it feels smooth.
Okay, got it.
And if you feel the need to take apart the carriage, you can find the service manuals for these online.
We're not there yet. That makes me nervous.
Don't be nervous.
I'm a little nervous about being able to put it back together and just sitting
That's
there.
the
You know
point
when
of the
there's the
service
one
manual.
Lego piece that's left over?
Can you handle IKEA furniture?
Oh yeah.
You can handle this.
Okay.
It's metal, it's well put together, and if you get stuck, come ask us on the Machine Knitting Discord and we can help.
What is this piece for?
Yeah, and like somebody in Germany will be like, it's this thing on this machine.
Alright, cool. What's this little guy?
I don't know. Just kind of goes back and forth. I think it's like to guide, so I think it's to prevent this, like, so if we follow the path of a needle that would go through here, it might, if without this here, it would probably wind up going this way, but with it there, it's going this way.
No, does it? Oh, it looks like it's a tension thing.
And we don't have any machine knitting service technicians in this part of California, but Adrian, who is president of the Machine Knitting Guild and who also runs the South Bay Machine Knitting meetups and who also does most of the software testing for AYAB, might be able to help you.
Okay. I'll give it a whirl on my own.
But if you get stuck, like, there is help. There's a community.
Yes. Got it. Trying to figure out what this moves that it's not moving.
You probably need to take the carriage apart.
Oh, are you serious?
Oiling it might help a bit to get it unstuck, but like, you probably need to take the carriage apart.
Maybe it needs to be over on this side. Then it can move. No.
I would ask in the machine knitting Discord.
Okay.
They will know.
Before I break it.
You're probably not going to break it.
Hmm.
It's mostly metal.
Hold my beer.
And if you do break it, you can always buy replacement carriages. The 910 was very popular. They were manufactured for a long while, and they tend to have hardware issues, so sometimes the pieces show up.
Oh, I got it.
Moved! Oh, moves a big chunk of stuff. That's why it was stuck. Yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm wondering if this river was ever actually used.
I mean, yes, and I said there's a little bit of gunk there, but mostly it looks pretty clean and dust-free in here.
I would expect a bunch of like yarn fluff, and from the box, this came from the estate sale. So it's possible that somebody purchased it and never used it. Because these are like fancy people's hobby tools because they were really expensive when they were new.
All right, I'm sure I'm going to have many more questions about the river eventually.
Oh, yeah.
But
Feel free to ping me at any point. I'll probably turn into a bunch of videos.
all right, cool. Yeah.
And maybe some shorts.
Well, it's videos and then shorts, right?
Well, some of the stuff isn't enough to merit a whole video, and like, I like to, when I'm demonstrating a new technique, make a whole project out of it. And it might not be enough there. I don't think this was ever used.
Cool.
You got a brand new in box 40-year-old river. Might even be older than that, because the rivers were compatible with the 800s, I believe, as well. The 800 line were the punch card before they transitioned to semi-electronic this way. This doesn't actually have much internal memory. It just like reads one row of pattern and can store that.
Okay, so my goal is going to be to get a sweater out. Well, my first goal is going to be...
Make a hat. Start with a hat.
Okay, we'll start with the hat. I was going to say like a simple sweater that's 2 rectangles put together.
So,
like short sleeve.
I have a really basic sweater that is 2 rectangles on the front and then the arms are trapezoids.
I wasn't even going to do arms. Baby steps.
Make the vesty thing? I mean,
It would be bad. It'd be like this. This is basically 2 rectangles.
You could do that with my sweater pattern. Just leave the sleeves off.
Yeah. I would just do a sleeveless sweater.
There you go.
But maybe we'll do a hat first. Maybe we'll do a hat. Yeah. That sounds good. And then I assume you have links to the yarn in your the videos or
I
something.
don't really. Because yarn is tricky. So for a standard gauge machine, you need fingering weight, essentially, or lace weight yarn. And it's hard to find it in the quantities that you would really want it. So your options are, if you want pretty acrylic, like we've been using here in all colors of the rainbow, you can go to Knit Knack Shop and look at the 3-ply Astracryl. They also have a few other kinds with more like polyester in it, so it's shinier.
Okay.
But it's all been oiled for machines. And then if you want like nice high-end fibers, you want Color Mark. They do mill ends of luxury stuff. And they're in the UK and the shipping is takes a while, but they have a vast selection. But it's like odds and ends, kind of like Fabric Mart. And then there's Silk City Fibers.
Okay.
Which has like more modern stuff, but it's for a bunch of different kinds of
You
machines.
need to write those down.
I'll put them all in the description, and then once I publish the video, you can go look at it. I will send you links to everything. But you can also use like...
Well, I'll go to Color Mart. I just want to order something that I can play with, because right now that is the thinnest thing I have.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I mostly hand knit and I have absolutely no patience, and so the skinny stuff, I kind of, yeah.
Well, you can do every other needle on the main bed.
Okay.
And it's like the same thing, only leave half the needles out of work. And then you can go significantly thicker. But it's going to take some fiddling to get the tension right and make sure it's something that you actually like.
Okay.
So that's a way to use up your other yarn. You can also use like any sock yarn.
Okay. I probably have some sock yarn somewhere in there.
Especially if you're making socks.
Well, I haven't made socks because I don't have the patience for socks and tiny little DPNs, so...
Well, socks on... Even single bed socks should take you about an hour. Well, it takes me about an hour per sock, so I'll probably make it up 2 hours when you're learning.
Okay.
But you're a very small person, so you're making small socks.
I don't think my feet are that much smaller.
Yeah.
All right, maybe. My wee socks. Okay. So yeah, so my goal is I'll make a hat, and then I will make a sleeveless sweater. And then maybe I will try some ribbing at that point.
Or just make some socks.
Or some socks.
Short rows come up a lot in machine knitting because they're
Yes.
significantly easier on the machine than they are by hand.
Oh, really?
So like if you're knitting, you have like you're knitting here. If you want to do a short row, you just bring your needles into hold.
Oh, that's nice.
And then knit across and then bring more needles into hold.
Okay.
And I have a sock video coming out at some point if I find the time to actually edit it. But it's really easy.
But yeah, I wanna try like to have some successful projects, and then and I'm sure that I will have a million more questions as I do those when I don't have you holding my hand next to
I'm going to
me.
recommend that you don't do what I did and go from immediately from making swatches to drafting your own pattern generator for socks.
YOLO. Yeah, no, I'll start with the hat, and I'll start with and then the sweater thing, but I will swatch.
You got to swatch.
I will swatch.
Or your stuff's going to be all weird and not fit right.
Organic.
Call it like intentional design details.
Exactly. It's a feature, not a flaw.
There we go.
Yes, I will swatch it. And so even the ones that don't have the oil, you wash and
Yes.
press. And
Yes.
do you ever just steam press, or do you always wash?
You want to treat the swatch the same way you're going to treat the final garment.
Okay.
So like if the sweater you're planning to wash, you should wash your swatch.
Okay.
And you cannot wash it in this state because it'll just unravel.
Okay. So I sew this first and then I unravel.
Yep. And you can even like run it through the serger if you're unhappy, if you're like not willing to put the effort into really finishing it.
I mean, my serger's already always up, so that's it.
There you go.
Probably faster.
You can even like make big panels of knit fabric that you can then cut and sew. If you go to half pitch ribbing, you can make some decent ribbing and use that for anything.
Oh, that's cool. I always have to buy my ribbing.
For like cuffs and collars and stuff.
Yeah, oh.
I think we are at the end of this river video. I think we're at the end of our day of filming. Let's do an outro. So now Rachel knows how to use her ribber to do 1x1 ribbing, and we have answered some of her questions. The rest of the information that she needs is going to be in her manual, and I'm going to send her to all of the resources that we have in the community so she can get help when she needs it. And she's probably just going to wind up pinging me with a bunch of questions, which is absolutely fine.
I'll probably put my ribbing experiments and whatever else on my Instagram. So
you should go check out Rachel there. There will be a link in the description. I hope this was helpful for everyone who's getting started with their own vintage machines. A lot of this is specific to the Brother machine, but a lot of it will transfer to other kinds of things. That's about it. You want to do the outro with me? Thanks for watching.
And happy
Happy
knitting.
knitting.
Gotta remember the first part.
That's good enough. Okay.
Ribbon!
It's a wrap. Okay, now we gotta put this all back in the box.
Alrighty.
Camera's off.